Hi everyone, hope you're having a really nice day. I have been feeling so called to come on and talk about this specific topic, and I'm just kind of home having a sick day and felt like that would be a good time. So, basically, what I want to call to the attention of everyone is the value and the energy system that we kind of have going around within our society that we choose collectively to avoid or to ignore. And I know as soon as I start talking about this, a lot of people are going to have that like click moment where they're like, oh, yeah, like I know what she's talking about. And that happens a lot of the times because this is something that we can easily remove ourselves from or disassociate from or distract ourselves from and forget that we are these powerful, energetic beings, and people just associate with being a human and all the suffering that goes along with that and get married to that idea. And unfortunately, a lot of people live the rest of their lives in that place, and that's really scary. So, if you feel like this resonates with you at all, or you feel like the world is out to get you, or you're having a lot of bad luck, or whatever you're labeling it as, take this as a moment to check in and reflect with yourself and to do a full body breath, mind, spirituality, emotional regulation check in and notice the bigger picture of what's going on here around us. Okay, so that's like my intro. So I'm going to break it down because I realize this isn't just like I can't give you 3 steps to make this work kind of process. But what I can give you is the information that I'm confident that exists, and I'm sure a lot of us are also confident in, is that energy is potent around us, okay? And this is an example that I use all the time. But what that is if I come into your home and you're hanging out and doing your regular routine and I am crying, I'm ugly crying, I'm messing, I'm screaming, I'm grunting, I'm having a hysterical panic attack or, an expression of emotion, you and everyone and anyone else in that room is going to feel my energy. You're going to feel that shift. You're going to feel me coming in. You're going to feel all of me, not just my physical presence. You're going to feel the heat, the energy, the frequency, the vibration, all of it, all the emotions as I enter that room. Then maybe you'll take some of that on. Maybe you'll start to feel a little disrupted, okay? There's like all these effects that happen after something like that. In comparison to that, say I walk in the room and I'm like, hi, good morning. Oh my gosh, you look so beautiful. Your home is wonderful. I brought lattes. Yes, it's a beautiful day. We're gonna have a great day. I guarantee the way you respond to me, the way your body and nervous system respond to that kind of interaction is going to be a lot more calm, a lot more clear. So that's just like a quick example. I'm really trying to like build this on like a little baby mountain step level because I hate when I get too complicated and too off topic that the message I originally was receiving the download of doesn't come through as clear as I wanted to. So here we have it. Here we have this idea of energy and that it affects other people. And maybe we're at this point all in agreement, if you're still watching this video, that that is the case, and that that does exist in some way or form. Although we haven't found ways to like scientifically prove emotional energy existence, like with, I can't like scan it and tell what emotion it is or where it's coming from or what the root is. But I can do the work and I can find out pretty easily. So stay with me, bear with me. So that is our baseline. So basically, when we think of that and we expand it to every interaction, every situation, not just me coming into your house angry, not just me coming into your house happy, when we expand it to every interaction we have, every coffee shop we go to, every restaurant, every family member we talk to, every business meeting, every phone call, every FaceTime, every text message, okay? When we start looking, and this is more in person, but it can be virtual as well. But when we start looking at everything as this energetic system, we realize that we're all a lot more in tune than we like to believe. Okay, for example, you have just started dating someone, say, or you've been dating someone, like whatever, it's somewhat new, and you're both laying there, and maybe you've spent some intimate time together, maybe you haven't, but you're kind of laying there with all these thoughts racing through your head, and you're sitting there and you're like, oh God, should I say something? Like your throat's getting weird, you're like trying to clear your throat, you're not sure if you should say anything or just be quiet, just sit in the bliss, you're having a million thoughts racing, and you're like, oh my God, is this normal? Should I leave? What's going on? We've all been in those situations where we're kind of like, what's the other person thinking? Like, what's going through this other person's mind? And I just want to bring to light that a lot of the time, I'm not going to say every time, but a lot of the time that something like this is happening in your head, and if it's involved, if two parties are involved, the other person is likely having a very similar experience. Oops. The other person's likely having a very similar experience. So but we spend so much time in our head, in our self-judgment with our ego, saying, oh my God, I'm not going to bring up any of this. Like, I'm just going to sit with this because this would be too much. I'm not going to put this on the other person. Like, you know, whatever excuses you're making in your mind. So if we can get to that place and think maybe the other person might be having thoughts, maybe this is something I could bring up. Maybe, you know, I've come this far that I should be able to open up and have a discussion. Then if you're able to break through that fear, and this is the part where it gets hard, and this is the part where you have to start showing up for yourself. This isn't for anyone else. This isn't for them. This isn't for literally anybody else except for you. This is for your own healing and your own benefit and your own transformation of opening up your throat chakra and establishing communication and establishing boundaries and saying and asking for what you need. This is really, really clear stuff that as a community we need to get together and understand that we're all fucking thinking the same shit because we all want the same stuff at the end of the day. The way we want it and the way we get it might look a little different, but at the end of the day, the goals do align to be pretty similar, you know, involving abundance, love, happiness, family, relationship, community, business success, all these things that we want to generate, being in nature, vacation, travel. We're all pretty much like made happy by similar things and can all accomplish them in our own, you know, beautiful ways that we get around to accomplishing them. So again, we're still building this mountain. And I know I'm using a lot of weird examples. Some are personal, some are not personal, but I'm just trying to show you how this energetic system builds. So once you get to this point where you have accepted that all this energy is going around all the time anyways, and you just start speaking your truth, you start asking for what you want, you start declaring it, and understanding that sometimes the person you're asking for something for is going to say no. Sometimes things aren't going to work out. And when that does happen, if you are upset by it, that's a chance for you to give yourself a moment to hold some space for yourself and process that all the way through, okay? And this takes practice. This takes a lot of practice, and this takes communicating that this is something that you're practicing as well. I don't just show up. I love gymnastics. I coach gymnastics. I'm not like as good as I was back in the day, but I still love coaching and I'm still educated in it. I don't go to competition and do flips on beams anymore. I don't just show up thinking I can do that, because guess what? I can't. I would show up to something like that and say, oh, hey, by the way, like I've never done this before, so I can't. And people would understand, like, okay, let's, you know, take her back a few steps because this is too high of a level. Let's go back a few steps so we can work towards the goal. When you communicate where you're at with people, it removes the frustration of them wondering why you're doing what you're doing, because it gives them a clear, concise, direct answer of what's going on in your life, and maybe they have an idea of how they can better show up for you or better help you. So again, this is all about breaking open the throat chakra. It's something that's been coming to me very clearly and strongly for over the past like 6 to 9 months. It's really, we're like up leveling, and what that means is we're working all the way up to the crown. And so right now I've been feeling really potently that we are within this throat chakra region of communication, and this Mercury retrograde that just happened was very intense and very strong. So communication might have become a little bit rocky during this, especially as we're in the kind of shadow side of the completion of this Mercury retrograde. It actually ends today on the 28th of March, 2019. Whew. So, so there was another topic I kind of wanted to go into, but I feel like it's just going to make this video way too long if I start to go into it. But basically, we want to open up the space for everyone to feel comfortable with their expression. And we want to open up the space to talk about the things that are uncomfortable and the things that are vulnerable and the things that we've been instilled to fear having discussions around, and the things that we go out of our way to avoid or to numb out, or to drink alcohol so you can have that conversation, or to complete that task, or to feel more comfortable in a social situation. We do all these things to try to foster us to be safe and comfortable and happy, when really, if we just were expressing and being these fluid, open beings that come together and go apart and move and flow. And I know it's so much easier said than done. I know, because I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. I learn from my lessons every day, and I take a lot of time to self-reflect and to look where I've done myself wrong and find a way to transition that, okay? So I'm saying this from a place of love and a place of community, of knowing that if we can all agree to be a little more vulnerable, a little less judgmental, and a little more trusting that we're all just here making our way and doing our best, I think we would all be on a more collective level of agreement, and a less horrible rape culture, less intense dating scenes, less scary interactions, whether you're male or female or whatever you're resonating as, within your dating group or your community and your friendships. We'd be able to have a lot more openness in our families, a lot more healing of generations if we were discussing what's going on. My life as a 23-year-old in 2019 looks a lot different than my grandma's life when she was a 23-year-old, being an immigrant from Nicaragua. So it's like, we have to understand things have changed so much that we don't understand each other when there's an age gap. And when there isn't an age gap, there's still so much miscommunication, because you're not explaining what your text means, or there's no emotion in text and these phone calls, and there's not a whole lot of human physical interaction, because everyone's afraid of physical touch and everyone's afraid of speaking their truth. So, okay, this video is getting longer than I wanted it to. I'm gonna stop now, but just speak your truth and ask for what you need, even when it's hard, even when your voice cracks, even when you are sweating and your heart's beating and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know how I'm gonna say what I need to say. Trust in yourself and root down through your feet. Take a deep breath into your heart and really give yourself the space and the time to just get it out, whatever it is that needs to be said and communicated, and do it out of love for yourself. And know that if that person loves you, the person you're needing to communicate with, even if it's a work thing, if that person has unconditional love in their heart, it might not be someone who is in love with you, this could be something different, but if that person has that ability to hear and to listen, and then to hold that space for you and to have a conversation about it and see what needs to happen to move forward and how something would, evolve from the circumstance, then that's great. And if someone seems to have a problem with it and you setting a boundary is upsetting them, then that's someone toxic. And if your boundaries are upsetting other people, then you need to be clear with them that that's not going to work for you. And if you're going to allow someone to continue to come in and break your boundary once you've already said that, then you're just self-sabotaging. And it's not about that we're not going to feel bad for you if you're self-sabotaging. We all do that. We all self-sabotage. Nobody can say that they don't. But if you're going to keep yourself in a cycle, you're going to lose friends. You're going to under level. You're not going to up level. You're going to go lower. So you're going to start attracting lower vibrations. You're going to start attracting scenarios that are of lower vibration, which is just going to keep pushing you down and down. Things are going to get heavy. And then to push back up and bloom back up is going to take a lot more work. So listen to those messages in your body, in your brain. Bring yourself back to peace and calmness anytime you have available to breathe or meditate for 5 minutes or take a walk in nature, okay? So, that's my download for the day. Thank you so much for joining me today. We'll bring our beautiful little crystal in. Namaste, everybody. Let this beautiful, beautiful quartz here just clear out any energy that we're ready to get rid of. And sending you so much love and light. Bye, everybody.